Hi, and thank you for joining us for this presentation on Vodia's PBX integration with Microsoft Teams. We will have a brief QA after the presentation, but feel free to type any questions into the chat window as we go along. And now, without further ado, let me introduce Eric Altman, our sales engineer, who will take us through this presentation. Eric?
Thank you, Hamlet. Welcome, everybody. We're real excited to talk to you today about our Teams integration with the Vodia PBX. So I'm going to just dive right in. So let's go through an agenda. What we're going to talk about today, we'll talk a little bit about Vodia, why Microsoft Teams collaboration. We'll go through some of the benefits, the integration with Microsoft Teams, talk about the session border controller. We'll go through the Vodia as well as the Teams requirements, PBX cloud requirements, talk about our license model, voice trunks, your different choices for IP phones. We're going to go through some of the standard features within the Vodia PBX, the auto attendant IVR, Vodia hunt groups, and Vodia agent groups. We're going to run through some real-world scenarios, a school scenario, hotel scenario, call scenario. We'll talk about getting started, what you need to do, and documentation. So a little bit about Vodia. Vodia PBX has been around since 2005, founded by industry pioneers. Our focus is on cloud PBX. We do premises as well. We have true multi-tenancy with the hosted environment. That is a true multi-tenant environment, everything on one instance of the PBX. We've been 5G ready since the inception. We do our own software development, so there's no other libraries in there. This is all our own development in-house. It's an interoperability model. We're able to interoperate with a lot of other SIP trunk carriers and phones, and we're based out of Boston, Massachusetts. So why the integration with Microsoft Teams makes sense? Right now, Microsoft Teams is a landmark business platform. It's not going away anytime soon. Microsoft's obviously pushing it, but certain aspects aren't very well covered in just the Teams application. Interoperability with standard VoIP phones, termination with SIP trunks, and integration with devices like paging or alarms. These are not covered very well in Teams, and that's where Vodia can come in and make a difference. The direct routing opens the possibility for integration, and Vodia is in a great position to capitalize on that. Some of the benefits that you'll see based on this integration, so now the PBX can act as an SBC for Teams and terminate both internal and external calls. One of the big ones, I think, is allowing Vodia extensions and Teams extensions to communicate with each other seamlessly. So whether you're a Teams member or not, you can communicate with the Teams members or the non-Teams members. Also, those team members can belong to hunt groups or agent groups, and we'll talk a little bit about those. That can even be a mixed environment with team and non-team members. But employees who don't have a need to take advantage of using Teams, because there's always going to be some of those in the organization, they still have a registered SIP phone, makes it possible for them to still be called from a Teams extension through the direct routing. Our integration with Microsoft Teams, things like DIDs can be assigned to Teams and non-Teams members using the Vodia's DID management list. Team members can enjoy cost savings because they can choose their preferred SIP trunk providers. You're not locked into just one trunk provider. This is going to work for direct calls to the extension, but also for calls coming from hunt groups or ACD groups. We'll ring those phones. And if there are other devices registered to that extension, they'll ring in parallel. So if you've got our iOS app, our Android app, or the Windows app, all of those can be ringing in parallel. Here's just a quick slide to explain kind of how it all fits together. You've got the team user over here on the left using Teams with phone system into the cloud. Then you've got the SBC that's built right into the Vodia PBX. That can communicate obviously with the PBX as well as the telco, the carrier. And then those calls that are internal and can end up at another user's phone, whether it's Teams or non-Teams. And also those calls can be terminated to the PSTN to an external caller. So the session border control, let's talk a little bit about that because this is kind of the secret sauce. This is what allows us to do this direct routing integration. It's a key element. It's an integral part of the Vodia PBX, so it's built right in. It supports TLS, WebRTC, and ICE for a long time. We have done that. It handles the interaction with Microsoft Teams. What we've done is added a special trunk type for Teams in that SBC. Some other things that a session border controller can allow here is different parts of the network to communicate. There's a variety of techniques to do that. NAT traversal, both far ends and near ends. SIP normalization with SIP message and header manipulation. We could do IPv4 to IPv6 interworking, DTMF relay and interworking, media transcoding, tones and announcements can be set up, and data and fax interworking. So all this is handled by the session border controller. So let's talk a little bit about the requirements for the Vodia Teams integration. Obviously, first of all, you're going to have Microsoft Teams, an Office 365 account. And in that Office 365, it does need to be a fully qualified domain name. Users in Office 365 have to have at least an E3 or E5 license, or a license that supports direct routing. You need a Vodia license for Teams, a domain which is also fully qualified in the Vodia PBX with a valid certificate. And basically what you're doing here is you're building a Teams trunk in the Vodia PBX to connect to Microsoft Teams. Server requirements. So we're operating system independent. This can be on a Windows server, Linux, CentOS, Debian, and Bluetooth. It can even be virtualized as well. You're going to want to have 4 to 8 gigs of RAM and 2 cores and 80 to 100 megs of hard drive space. Going to have a public IP address on this server. So the server can be on a public IP or a server in the DMZ, and a certificate. Either one of the root CAs mentioned by Microsoft, but we've also found that the free Let's Encrypt certificate also works. SIP trunks. So this is your gateway to the outside world. So termination through the Vodia SBC allows us to connect to any of these SIP trunks you see here, as well as many others. So you've got a wide range of SIP trunk providers to choose from. You can do single or multiple trunks for least cost routing and failover capabilities. And you've got the PBX features for termination, like even time of day routing can be done, and it's available for Teams. And PSTN gateways can also be used for termination. So all of this can be done through the PBX through using the SBC and direct routing. Choices of phones as well. So there's a wide range of desktop IP phones. You can see some of them listed over here on the left: Cisco, SNOM, Yealink, Grandstream, all of those, as well as others. It doesn't depend on Microsoft certification. So if you're not using our integrated platform here and you're just doing it through Microsoft, there are certain phones that can only be used. With us, it's a wide variety. And the phones can ring in parallel to Teams soft and hard phones as well. You can also put other devices on the PBX, ATA for analog, DEC phones, intercoms, paging devices as well. So all that's available through the PBX and does not depend on Microsoft certification. Cloud requirements. So this is a great opportunity for partners to run a PBX in the cloud. It runs well on the public hosting platforms. You can host the Teams termination and PBX services in the cloud. This is going to generate recurring revenues for partners. It also minimizes the requirements for customers to dive into the whole team details. And in doing all that, you're going to increase customer retention. Let's talk about a couple of the features of the Vodia PBX. Maybe review for some of you or brand new, but we wanted to at least include these in here just to tell you some of the things that you've got with the PBX. So the auto attendant, IVR, interactive voice response. Calls can be routed to the Teams auto attendant or to the Vodia attendant. Teams auto attendant is very powerful, using Microsoft technology to determine where to send the call. And the Vodia attendant is very simple to set up. You can call mixed Teams and non-Teams users. If it fills requirements, it says of many deployments, most, I'd say, if not all. you've got full auto attendant in there. Hunt groups. So a hunt group's going to hunt between users. This can be a mix of Teams and non-Teams extensions. So Teams, VoIP phones, Vodia apps, user cell phones, all of these can be part of a hunt group. So you can receive inbound calls from the Teams app or IP phones. You can pair or twin team members to receive calls to their cell phone as well. And they can also use the Vodia app for Windows, Android, or iOS. So all of those can be part of a Vodia hunt group. Agent groups, that takes it a step further. It's similar benefits like the hunt groups, but very simple way to set up a call center. So this is built in. This is something you can do yourself. You don't need to hire a consultant for many thousands of dollars to do something like this for you. It's something that you can set up. And we can do redirection. So if not enough agents are available, team users can be included. I mean, typically that's going to be your back office staff that's using Teams. So they don't have to be called on every call, but if we can't get through or there aren't enough agents to take the calls, we can go ahead and redirect the calls back to them. And reporting is instantly available. So you've got reporting right built into the Windows app. There's a wallboard right there that can show you the agent performance as well. Let's talk about a few scenarios, a few real world scenarios. First one, a school scenario. So first of all, you can have a mix of device types. The school employee can have the team collaboration. Classrooms could be on regular VoIP phones. Teachers can be on the Vodia apps, iOS, Android, Windows. And cell phones without the app are also possible. So we can twin it so that the cell phone can be used both for internal and external calls without even using the app if need be. There's emergency call notifications. If somebody dials 911, that can be done through overhead paging, a notification, a text, or an email to someone to let them know that 911's been called. The PBX can even operate the school bell. Teams users can do live and pre-recorded overhead paging. And when a teacher makes a call out, it's going to use the caller ID of the school for outbound calls from the app. So it's not going to be her cell phone or his cell phone. It's going to show the caller ID for the school. And obviously, you've got the outbound termination through the PBX SIP trunk. Hotel scenario. So Teams can be very powerful for the back office. So Vodia helps to address some other hotel requirements. We do have a PMS integration, which also allows us to set up wake-up calls or that the maids clean the room, those types of things. The rooms themselves can use hotel VoIP phones or analog adapters if they're analog phones. And the hotel employees can use multi-cell DECT phones or wireless LAN with the app. There can be public area phones as well. And like I mentioned, we do have PMS integration through Vodia. If they need to know where that 911 call was made from, we can also have 911 room location if necessary. And things like these, similar requirements in, say, like a nursing home or a campground, same types of requirements as a hotel. So this can be used in the same way there. Logistics and transportation, another real-world scenario. I mean, transportation companies are going to have office staff, and they're going to have people on the road. Obviously, the people on the road aren't necessarily going to be Teams integrated or have Teams, but we can make that communication seamless between the people in the back office who are on Teams and those truck drivers out there on the road. So he wouldn't need a Teams license, and not even necessary to share private phone numbers with the office because you're just connecting to them through the PBX. And something like an airline could avoid international cell phone costs by terminating everything through the Vodia apps. So a couple of different transportation type companies that can definitely benefit from this integration. Our license model. So it's a partner-centric license model. It puts us in the same boat as the partners. It's based on seats, and Teams is also seat-based. Practically all business software is sold by seats today. It's a recurring revenue model, enables service license package opportunities for partners. So it solves a problem for the customer, which improves the customer retention. And this goes far beyond just pure reselling of a license. The way it works in a hosted environment, it's the hosted collaboration license that's postpaid monthly per seat. This can also be done on CPE, customer premises equipment. In that case, the license is prepaid and it's in increments of 5 seats. Getting started, it's easy. Download and install the Vodia PBX. We have a free evaluation license code. It's listed here. You can also see it on our team documentation page, which is listed right there, vodia.com/solutions/ms-teams. And visit us also at doc.vodia.com. That's where our searchable online documentation is for Teams and anything else to do with the Vodia PBX. We're here to help. You can contact our support through email, support@vodia.com. You can also open tickets. Go to support.vodia.com/sign-up, and you can sign up for our ticket platform so that you can open support tickets there. And obviously, there's the documentation. So you can go there first, see if you can find your answer there. /software is going to take you where you would download the software. And last but not least on this slide is deployment support. Obviously, this is new. I believe we're the only ones doing this type of an integration with Teams right now, so we will absolutely help you with your first couple of installs if you need it. There is a manual on that Teams page taking you through how to set it up, but if you run into any snags or any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. We'll help you deploy that. And for more information, contact sales@vodia.com. We'll give you some more information if you need it. And if you have any support inquiries, just send those to support@vodia.com. And during these trying times, everybody stay safe out there. Hope this was beneficial and gave you some information on how this all works together. And at this point, I'll open it up for questions through the chat. And I will read those questions, and either I or Hamlet will answer those questions for you. All right. Let's see what else we got as far as questions. Okay, so can we import users from Teams in bulk?
Actually, we don't have that. What happens is that the team members have to mirror the number extension on the Vodia PBX. So, for example, if team member is 440, you have to create that extension Vodia 440. But we don't have a bulk option yet.
Someone just made a comment that the PowerShell portion seems the most confusing. That's why, like I said, we're here to help. We understand that you're not doing that every day. So absolutely, let us know if you need any help with any of that.
Okay, as far as the documentation is concerned, PowerShell portion seems a bit confusing. If you have any questions, please send us support@vodia.com and we can help you out with the installation and any other questions you might have for the deployment. Yeah, so in order for this to work,
someone's asking we should have extensions of MS Teams and Vodia.
So pretty much. So that's the only way Vodia can talk to MS Team and MS Team to Vodia. You need the same extensions on both platforms so that when the MS Team user calls from extension 440, for example, comes to Vodia, and that extension 440 lives in Vodia, then Vodia will send that call out, has the extension was calling from the Vodia PBX, but it's really coming from the MS Team, and we'll be able to do that so that user can make outbound calls and receive inbound calls.
Next question I show here is, does the FQDN on the Cloud PBX have to be the same as the FQDN on the Teams domain?
It doesn't necessarily have to be the same, but there has to be an A record so that that fully qualified domain name on the Vodia PBX is entered into the MS Team configuration portion.
Got one, presence of desktop phone with Teams app. so I'm not sure. Yes, you would have a desktop phone if you prefer to do that, or it can be through one of the apps as well.
So we have another question about Let's Encrypt on the SBC page in Teams. Yeah, so Vodia does create a Let's Encrypt certificate. And we do urge, if you want to use a Let's Encrypt that's available on the Vodia PBX, you have to have a fully qualified domain name, and port 80 has to be activated externally so that we can create that certificate for you. Being that said, if you have a multi-tenant Vodia PBX, we will create a certificate, 509 certificate for all the domains on the PBX, so that if you have a team deployment or many team deployments, you can run on those deployments on the Vodia PBX, so that you have basically a separation between all of the domain users on the PBX. Thank you, Raphael. Yes, it's the same thing. Yep.
Yep, someone else has it working, so that's good. That's good. Next question, is an E3 all we need, or do we need any Office 365 add-on license?
Okay, so you will need an add-on. It's called a phone system add-on, which is the direct routing for MS Team, and you will need that per extension, or whoever will use the PBX for inbound and outbound call. You need to activate that user for direct routing.
And it says for inbound and outbound dial plans, we would be set up in Vodia only.
Yeah. So the inbound is set up on the PBX. So, for example, if you're using bandwidth and you have acquired a DID from bandwidth to a user, and that user is also a team member in the MS team. And so when an inbound call comes in, we look at the DID or request URI and send that number, DID number to the inbound number, to that team user, having that team user app ring so they can pick up the call. As far as the DAO plan, the PSTN DAO plan on MS Team, that has to be set up, which is well documented in Vodia.com.
Somebody's asking about prices. As far as prices, send us an email, sales@vodia.com, or give us a call, 617-446-1399. Choose the option for sales, and we'll be happy to give you all that information. On multi-tenant, is the price different between Teams extensions and regular extensions? Again, this is something where give us a call or contact us at sales@vodia.com. They are set up differently, both the CPE license, customer premises, and the hosted license. So they're priced differently, but we can give you that information through an email or through a call. What version do you need for this to work? Looks like that's already been answered. Looks by Kyle, version 65, the latest version of the PBX. Is the regular extension supporting Teams? No. I mean, that would be a special price for Teams extensions. And do you host service for the partner? With this, at least not yet. That's not something that we're doing. This is for self-hosting at this time. All right, we'll give it another minute and see if anybody else has any other questions.
We have another one.
Those are just appreciated, and stay safe. Yes, thank you. You stay safe as well. Oh, and someone is mentioning this can be done through Cloudco. They'll host. So if you're looking for someone else to host that, you can contact them. If someone's using them. Someone's asking, the Teams extension is the fully functional than the regular. Yeah, I mean, it's fully functional. The only difference being that it's a Teams extension. So when you're setting it up, there's actually a drop down when you set up the extension, and you're saying that's a Teams extension. But they'll have all the same features and everything like our hosted customers already do. Someone's asking if they can use an M365 license. Again, as long as it has the direct routing feature in there. I'm not 100% familiar with every license that they have. And if it doesn't, then it can be used and you can add that as an add-on. I believe that's the way the E3 is done anyway, and the E5 already has it as part of it. So someone's just saying the Teams extension is the full functional and then the regular. Someone wants Teams and a traditional SIP phone. I mean, this can be mixed and matched, absolutely. And all the extensions will be fully functional, and you can define, what features they can access as an administrator. But
right. And on that note, if you integrate and you have the MS Team with no integration with Vodia, that MS Team member can still have a SIP desktop phone sitting next to them, registered to the Vodia PBX, so they can receive and make outbound calls.
All right. Looks like those are the questions. Again, if you have any other questions, contact sales@vodia.com, or you can call us 617-446-1399. Hit the option for sales, and we'll be happy to answer any other questions. And a lot of them probably can be answered in our documentation or our manuals as well. So thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Stay safe.